What is up, guys? It is the Scarlet Duelist back again with yet another quick video that I'm confident calling pretty good. So just recently I went to a regional in Indianapolis and played 9 matches there. There were about 300-ish people there. I don't know how many there actually were by the time everybody dropped out, but I know it began with about 300 people. So pretty mid-sized, smaller than the last one I went to. I think the last one I went to had about 500. But I rather enjoyed the smaller amount just because it went faster and it wasn't as crowded. So that was nice. But yeah, I'm going to go over this deck profile, and I'm also going to do another video separately so that this one isn't too long. Reflecting on the regional itself and why certain matchups worked with this deck versus why certain matchups didn't. But for now, just for this video, I'm going to talk about the profile, how a few things went, and some things that have changed since my last Time Thief profile, and why I made those changes. And now I've got the evidence to prove if they worked or did not work because I took it to an actual competitive setting. So without further ado, let's begin the quick profile update. So just like the last profile, you can see that I've got my Time Thieves and then my Invoked engine. Although I did change the Invoked engine, actually I made the decision after the regional because I saw this card, Magical Meltdown, just way too often. Unfortunately, I think that running it at 3, it can potentially kill your hands because you can only activate 1 per turn. And if that gets ashed or, whatever, negated in any way, you're pretty much just not going to use your Invoked engine. So what I like to do is try to bait out the negations with a terraforming and then go from there. Because, yes, there are less chances that you see Magical Meltdown and Terraforming, but you can at least activate Terraforming more than once. You cannot activate Magical Meltdown more than once, and often if you hard draw this later on in the game, because this is more of a control variant, so you do play more than 2 turns often, I've noticed that it's really bad to draw into Magical Meltdown, so that's why I put it at 2. It's a card that I do want to see, but not all the time. That's kind of my rule of thumb for that, so that's why it was taken down. I would rather have 2 Terraforming, 2 Meltdown, rather than the 3 Meltdown, 1 Terraforming that I usually play with. It just wasn't really going well. It wasn't terrible, but I think I would have played better and won more matches if I didn't draw into Magical Meltdown. You also might notice that this is 41 cards. I looked up percentages on how adding 1 more card affects your consistency, and it's honestly so minuscule that I felt that it was worth it, and I actually saw quite a bit of success with the deck. Considering how rogue this strategy is, I think it did very well. The other change I made was I added the 3rd Winder, just because if you do see this in hand, you can get a potential search off of your Exceeds monster to finally have your flyback, which is an automatic interruption. It makes that interruption more searchable, which isn't something I realized when I was originally building this deck. Winder seemed like a dead card in hand, but it's actually not if you use it strategically. The dead card in hand can be Bezel Ship, though, so that's why I took this down to 2, which I think was already at 2, but I just wanted to verify for those that think you should have this at 3. Don't put this at 3, because if you see it in your opening hand, it's just a dead card, unless you want to use it for allure fodder. So just keep in mind, what you want to see versus what you don't. The other changes, let's see. I took Invocation down to 2. I added 2 Ghost Ogre rather than Effect Failure, just because it's a little bit more effective. Because this is going first deck, you really want to try to just keep your opponent from having a ton of cards, so I preferred Ghost Ogre because it's also reusable in the graveyard. Effect Veiler was 2, but again, can only do that on my opponent's turn. I just found Ghost Ogre had more utility. And then Solemn Strike and all the other negation I have kind of covers what Effect Veiler interrupted. 3 Ash just because Purgatrio target, and it's a very effective hand trap. I added 2 Allure, took out Pot of Desires just because I don't really want to banish a bunch of these cards. That's just something that I prefer not to do. Rather than, I can banish one of the Time Thief cards that I'm not currently using because you will not need all of them. Or if I don't need Tiamaton, I can banish that on Allure. Finally, yeah, the tech that I threw in that I used 7 out of 9 of my matches, and it actually really helped me lock down my opponent and keep my victories, or at least, made me play stronger against their strategy, was using Tiamaton, because I can almost guarantee that I have 3 cards in a column. And what's cool about Tiamaton, or I don't even know how I'm saying it differently every time, is you can special summon it to any column. It doesn't have to be the column that has 3 cards. You can special summon it to any column. So I would use this to either blow up a floodgate or lock them out of the extra zone, because mine was filled. Therefore, they had to take care of mine before they could even do anything. So they either had to get rid of Tiamaton or my extra deck monsters, which was very difficult for them to do. So I had control of the game most of the time if I went first. It was a little tougher going second, but I often baited out negates and still was able to do what I wanted to do, which was really, really fun. And then finally, I think the only change in the extra deck was I added Abyss Dweller. And I don't even remember what I took out for that, to be honest. But I actually didn't end up making Abyss Dweller. I didn't need it, but it was exciting to be able to know that if I did need it, I could make it any time and shut down graveyard decks. I just didn't play any danger decks other than Thunder Danger Guard Dragons, but obviously it would have been much too late for me to make Abyss Dweller and affect them in really any way. So I just continued with my regular strategy. And let's see, the side deck, the only changes were Evenly and Denko for the Mystic Mine matchup, I think. And yes, I took Twin Twister out of the main deck just because I'm going first. If I need it, I'll side it in for going second. The card that I did not actually end up using at all, I used every card when I saw it, except for Mask Change 2 and Dark Law, which is strange because on WIGO Pro and playtesting, I used it a lot, and that was often a good win condition. But during the competitive kind of just, I guess, the real-life tournament competitively, it didn't really come up as something that I needed. I'm still going to keep it in the side deck because it's a very effective floodgate against graveyard-heavy decks because their cards never reach the graveyard. But I just ended up not needing it for the regional. But yeah, guys, these are the changes to my deck profile. Hopefully you like it. I don't really feel the need to go through each and every card. I'm clicking through them quickly here in case you don't know what they are. But there's not a whole lot to explain. I'll include the link to my old profile so you can see what the major changes are as well. But yeah, the next video will be also talking about this deck and my matchups, reflecting on the regional itself a little more, talking about what went wrong, what went right, and that kind of thing. So hopefully you enjoy seeing the profile, guys. This really did pretty well for what it is. It's incredibly rogue, and I won 4, lost 3, and tied 2. So that's not so bad. I came in 73rd of about 300 with a pretty crazy strategy that no one knew about, and I can confidently say that I'm the only one that has played this deck competitively because I invented it, you know what I mean? Like, this was my idea, and I'm not trying to be, what's the word? Braggadocious. I don't think that's real, but I'm definitely not trying to be that way about it, but I am pretty proud of it. Considering how crazy and weird this is, it did pretty well. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked, subscribe, like the video, and